Hi guys, I'm a Forester here. Today my Kahr PM9 and my Sig P938 are going to go head to head. Now I enjoy both of these guns, but the question I guess is which one do I prefer if I could only choose one. Now on the surface they may look very similar, but there are more differences than similarities between them. Before I get started, I'm just going to do a safety check and make absolutely sure that there's nothing in the chamber, nothing in the magazine. It's clear here, and nothing in the chamber, so we're good to go. Now I'll cover their similarities first. Both of course shoot 9mm rounds. Both have 6+1 capacity with their flush fit mag, and that's how I normally carry them. Let me show you the Kahr mag, 6+1. Now both came with 2 extra mags, and they both have a 7+1 magazine capacity. I don't, in their extended mags, I don't normally carry them this way. I just keep these in reserve as my backup magazine. Both of these guns are small enough for pocket carry, so that's not a problem with either one. They both have 3-inch barrels, and as far as weight, they round to the same weight. The Sig is just a little bit heavier, but not enough really for me to notice in the pocket, and what little extra weight it has helps with recoil. Now there's no magazine disconnect in either gun, and I'll just demonstrate that. Remember, there's nothing in the chamber, so no magazine disconnect there, no magazine disconnect here. Now in appearance, I personally would give a slight advantage to the Sig. I think that's just a very attractive handgun, but I think the Kahr is attractive also, and I like to carry both of them. I wouldn't give really an advantage to either gun. I think they're very similar in one other regard, and this is a negative, and both disassemble the same way, where you have to take out that pin by pushing on the other side. Same thing with the Kahr. You have to take out this pin by pushing that pin out on the other side. Now this may be unique to me, but to disassemble you have to pull the slide back to a certain location, then push that pin out. I've seen some other people take it out just with their hands this way. I cannot do that. I have to go to a lot of trouble to push it out, and it's never very easy for me. So that's a negative that they're similar for. Now for their differences. Okay, I'll try to cover the differences between these two guns as quickly as possible, because there are quite a few differences, starting with the manual of arms. And of course the Sig is a single action only. It's basically a miniature 1911, and you carry it cocked and locked, which is one reason why I held off as long as I did in purchasing it, because I just wasn't comfortable at first in carrying it cocked and locked in my pocket. I am now. Now the Kahr on the other hand is a striker fired gun, and so it's double action only. Every trigger pull's the same as the one before it. Let me move on to my second point, which is the trigger, and while I have the Kahr, I'll talk about it. It is a double action trigger. It has a long pull and then a crisp break at the end, and then a long reset. But a long pull, crisp break at the end. Let me show you the reset. Alright, it's a smooth pull, and I don't dislike it, but I really prefer the trigger on the Sig. It's single action only, as I said, so it's got a lighter trigger, just a little bit of take up, and then a crisp break at the end. Let's put it back on cocked and locked status. Okay, the third difference is the safety, and of course because this is 1911 style, you do have the thumb safety, and it has a very crisp action. You can hear that. The Kahr on the other hand doesn't have an external safety. I consider the primary safety to be this long trigger pull, so that's not going to go off accidentally. You're going to have to be deliberate in how you pull the trigger. Ease of operation is the fourth difference, and there's a big difference here between these two guns. Kahrs are known to be built and come very tight, and I took somebody's advice and just kept working this slide before I even took it to the range, because that was one of the reasons I think for some of the feed problems that some people have on their videos. I didn't have any feed problems because I took some trouble to try to break in that slide, but it's still tight. The Sig, on the other hand, one nice feature of it is that you can work the slide to load around even with this thumb safety on, and the spring is very light. So somebody with arthritis or possibly a female, I think they'd have an easier time with the Sig. So I'm going to give the advantage to the Sig on ease of operation. Now this next one is size, and this is going to be a little hard to show, but I'm going to go ahead and try to show that here. If you can tell, the Kahr is a little bit higher in the grip, and then if I lay them side by side like this, the slide is a little bit longer in the Kahr. So as far as overall size, I would give the advantage to the Sig, but there's not that much difference and not enough to really notice in pocket as to how they carry. On materials, the frame, of course, of the Kahr is made out of polymer, which helps with the weight just a little bit, and the frame of the Sig is made out of an alloy. Now, while I'm talking about weight, they're basically the same weight. They round to the same weight, so I don't give an advantage one way or other on weight or how they carry. There is a difference on sights, and so let me try to give you a comparison of the sight picture for both of these guns. Start with the Sig over here, and it has a traditional 3-dot sight. Now these night sights came standard on it, and I'll say they work fantastic at night, but they don't have quite the contrast I would like during the day, so they're not perfect. The Kahr, on the other hand, you know my story with these sights. It's a dot and post type of picture, and the rear sights fell off. I had to put them back on, and now the white post has come out, and I'm going to have to put some paint on it. So that's been an annoyance. But I don't prefer one or the other. I guess if I had to pick a favorite, it would be the night sights on the Sig, but I wish they did have more contrast during the day. Okay, the next difference is quality of manufacturing, and I'm not going to be able to give you any specifics on that. I mean, I haven't had any feed problems, and other than the sights falling off on the Kahr, I really haven't had any problems with either one. But when you get a Sig in hand, and this is my third Sig, so I've had 2 others, you can tell the difference in quality just in how it feels. And so I would give the advantage to the Sig, but I can't give you any definites on why I say that. And the last difference is on price, and this isn't a major difference, and I'll just give you my prices. Some people don't like to do that, but I spent $535 on this Kahr. The Sig was just a little bit more expensive, $583. And so I'm pleased with the price on both of them. The Sig is a little more expensive, but not that much, and you get more for it. So comparing the pros and cons on paper, I'd give a slight advantage to the Sig. But let's see how I shoot them, because I think that's going to make the biggest difference of all. I went to the range first to shoot paper, and all these shots were at 7 yards standing and freehand. Now this is the target for the Sig P938, and these measurements that you'll see are the distance from the farthest round to the center point of aim. So it's sort of a worst case scenario. I started warming up with these rounds right here with these clusters, and so I was shooting high and a little bit to the right. I ended up trying to wing the guy on the shoulders and at 4 corners, and did fairly well with that. These are some of the clusters that I ended up with. And there's winging him down in the hip. So I ended up doing this bad math right here where I averaged all of the different clusters, and for the Sig I came up with 1.4 inches on average. Okay, let me get the target for the Kahr and show you those results. Okay, here's the target for the Kahr PM9, and I had a horrendous start aiming at the 7 right here with this cluster, but I closed it up quickly as I got used to the gun and to the sights in particular. Winged him left and right. That one was a little bit off. Okay, but then Here's some of the clusters that I ended up with. And when I did the math, the bad math you might say, I ended up with 1.31. So actually a little bit better than the Sig P938, and that's despite this horrendous start. So I think you would say overall that I did slightly better. I shot slightly better with the Kahr than the Sig. That really surprised me. Let's go outside now and see how I shoot them at steel. Okay, you've seen how I shoot these on paper. Let's see how I shoot them on steel. I'll be shooting at about 10 yards at 2 different targets, and I'll start with the Kahr PM9. That's not bad. I wasn't counting on that kind of action. One shot does it all. Okay, now for the Sig. I don't know, what'd you think? I think I'm going to go back and shoot that one target over again, but of those two, I felt more comfortable shooting the Sig P938. So there you have it. First of all, on paper, I'd give the edge to the Sig P938, but at the range, the Kahr had a slight edge on accuracy. I didn't tell any major difference between them shooting steel, but at the end of that video, I gave the edge to the Sig. The bottom line is I like both of these guns and I'll continue to carry them both. But if I were choosing a Pocket 9 on a day when I knew I was going to need it, the question is which one would I carry? The Sig P938, based primarily on Sig's reputation for building quality products. Y'all take care.